Okay, guys, so I've been playing Throne and Liberty for the past couple of days. I've put in, I don't know, like 10 hours or so into the game at this point. I'm having a good time. It's fun. I like to press the buttons. I like to get lost in the world. I like to go around and do quests. I like to use my skills. I like to decide what kind of method I'm going to use to fight enemies. I've gone with Greatsword and Staff, even though I know that it's not really that good of a combination. Because, Greatsword to Big Dick, then you roach out with the staff whenever you need to so that you can stay alive. That's just fun to me. I'm having a good time. But one thing that I have noticed about Throne and Liberty so far is that it's brought out this sect of person that I find really interesting that I will now dub the MMO haterade drinkers, which are the people who, before they have even touched a game, decide that there are things about it that completely ruin the game for them 100% of the way down. And I am so endlessly intrigued by this type of person because I find what they're doing to be almost transparent in a kind of way that I don't know if they know that they are sort of putting off. Like, I find that there is a sort of behavioral pattern that is going on with these types of people who are sort of afraid to like the game. They're afraid to have something that they're going to have to put time into. Maybe they believe that in order for them to be liked and enjoyed inside of a community that they have to be really good at a game and know everything about it, and they're worried that if there's this new game that's out that they've never played before, that somehow all that work they've put in, all that clout that they've developed in other games is wasted, and now they have to do it all over again in a new game. But that's not the truth. Like, the honest thing about these video games is that we all just like to play them and we like to hang out. I've been sort of explaining to people over the past couple of days, because I've gotten the comment over and over again of like, why do you like this game? It doesn't look very good. It looks very generic, all these things. And I keep saying the same thing. I don't know what to tell you. When I log into the game and I press the buttons, I'm having fun. And when that stops happening, I can stop playing the game, but for now I'm enjoying it. And most of the time in other games, I'm not feeling that way right now. I enjoy MapleStory, but it's become a little bit of a chore. Guild Wars 2 has a lot of things that I need to do, so every time I log in, that game feels like a job. RuneScape is a game that I've played to death and back, and it's definitely like a thing that I keep up with every single day of my life, but it's not something that I'm like hyped on playing. This is an MMO that's just come out that I've never touched before. It has all of these systems, and I get to understand how they interwork with each other. I get to see a brand new world and see new NPCs. I get to run around and make new weapons and make new gear and figure out the way that I want to look inside of this. I get to decide what my story is all over again inside of a place that I've never been to before. To me, Throne and Liberty has a little bit of a Lord of the Rings kind of vibe going for it, the same way that I felt that something like Black Desert Online had a little bit of a Lord of the Rings kind of vibe going on underneath of it. I like the language of Korean MMOs. I enjoy the fact that the kite shield that you wear in Throne and Liberty is the exact same kite shield that you wear in Mabinogi. That's really, really cool to me. I like that these games have been built up on top of each other over a couple of decades, and they've completely gone parallel to regular MMOs, what we think of as Western MMOs, World of Warcraft, Guild Wars 2. Final Fantasy 14 is an Eastern MMO, but it's heavily influenced by Western MMOs. These Korean MMOs are their own thing, and I like that thing. I've met people who sort of have told me that, oh, I like these games until the KMMO of it all ruins it for me. And to those people, I always say the same thing of, I like the KMMO parts. I like the gacha type systems. I enjoy upgrading things and not knowing what I'm going to get out of what I put into it. I like putting in the hours against the odds when I could just spend some money on it. I enjoy all of these things about these games. I think it's fun to me for some reason. It clicks inside of my brain. I've put tons and tons of hours into KMMOs the same way that I put tons and tons of hours into regular MMOs. So for me, these systems aren't off-putting. They're just part of the game that you experience. And the further you get into them, the more systems like that sort of show up. MapleStory is a great example of this. When you're playing MapleStory, as you go through the game and you start to get to a point with your Star Force, you can eventually get to a point to where Star Force is a way of enhancing your weaponry. You can get to a point eventually to where you can lose that weapon that you're enhancing. You have a small success percentage chance to increase its stats. You have a much higher chance of failure, and you have a smaller even still percentage chance of losing the item altogether. And that's fun to me. I like the idea of gambling a weapon because long term, honestly, I know how I can get that weapon back. I know how I can go and do things. But if I'm sitting around late at night and I'm bored, or if I have a couple of duplicates of this weapon and I'm already sort of around the area that I want it to be, I can upgrade it and see if I lose that weapon. It's gambling, dude. It's fun. It's enjoyable. I am not playing these games to be somebody who has the utmost clout or the utmost power in them. I'm not trying to garner any kind of love for my knowledge of them. I'm not trying to show everybody that I can do it better than anybody else. The thing that I'm worried about when I'm playing a video game is playing the video game and enjoying it. And sometimes for me, that's about going really hard and trying to understand the systems that are at play and getting there. Other times for me, it's about just logging in and zoning out and kind of doing nothing. I think that there are lots and lots of dungeons in this game that I haven't experienced yet. There are tons of bosses to do. Last night, I did my first boss, who was like a guy that had a shield and a sword, and he was like called the shield charger or something. A basic, like, one-off, almost reminds me of like a strike mission or something in Guild Wars 2. Was really simple to defeat, but he was the first one. I'm excited to see what else they have going on there. I enjoy the combat system, the way that you block attacks and you have this sort of momentary, like, perfect block motion that you can do. I think it's really fun to craft weaponry in this game, which is something that normally you don't do in other MMOs. You normally get gear from drops or from buying it in stores. In fact, crafting is something that I almost completely ignore in most MMOs and definitely never know how to actually use it to make my playtime better or to make me better in combat. In this game, that is completely straightforward. There are so many items and weapons that drop down in the list, and you easily can get the crafting materials to start crafting weapons that are better than the ones that you have already. Same thing with armor. So it makes it very simple to lock in and figure out what it is that you need to do to get those things. Like, there are so many things in this game that I think it has going for it, and people are so focused on, well, it looks like a KMMO, and it's like, yeah, it does. It is a KMMO. If you don't like KMMOs, that's totally fine. But if you don't like KMMOs because you've watched a whole bunch of videos that have talked bad about KMMOs and you've never really played them a whole bunch, then I kind of don't know where you're coming at from with this argument, you know? Like, I have this thing about, like, people going into things where they want to have a conversation about something that they actually don't know anything about. It's like people who want to argue with doctors about medicine. It's like, you don't know anything about medicine. Like, I get that you want to be a part of the conversation, but you should go to med school first. You should figure out how to do these things before you chime in with just a whole bunch of stuff. Like, you know, I find that for me personally, the more video games I play and the more time I put into them, the more I start to understand that all video games have something that I kind of enjoy about them. I mean, I never thought that I would be a guy who enjoyed shooters, but then I played Fortnite for a while with friends and I found out that I actually really enjoy them. It just depends on the group of people that I'm playing with, and it's for different reasons than I would play an MMO for. It's not for the progression of the account, although there are battle passes and things, and I do enjoy that in those games. What I actually enjoy are those hardcore, heart-pumping moments where I'm trying to pull out a victory and all of my friends are about to cheer me on for being the one who did it. There's different things that happen, and like, if you cut yourself off and say, these are the things that I enjoy about video games and I'm not going to enjoy anything else, I think you're missing out on a whole bunch of things that actually could be really beneficial to your life and make you have a good time. That being said, if you don't want to play this game, then just skip it. That's totally fine as well. I feel like whenever I'm talking to people about this game, they want me to say something to them that makes them feel like it's okay to play this game. That, like, they're like someone who doesn't believe in drinking, but you have an alcoholic drink that they really want to try, and they really want you to tell them that it doesn't have alcohol in it because they really want to try that drink super badly. That's the way I kind of feel about people who are complaining about KMMOs, that they're looking for a way into the game, and I have the way for you. You just download it onto your computer, you log in, and you start playing. And then you can decide whether or not you like it. You put 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 hours into it. And if you end up not wanting to play it any more than that, any more than any of those numbers, 5 hours, you've still gotten 5 hours of enjoyment out of something, 5 hours of trying to figure something out. Now, I will say that when you're playing a new video game, there is a little bit of a pull away from the game that you're playing because you don't know how it works yet. I think that you have to be honest with yourself about where you're at in your journey with that game. If you can't see the structure of what's happening yet, if you have no idea what's actually going on, you're probably not at a point of whether or not you actually know if you like it. You just have cognitive dissonance about whether or not you want to continue playing because it's a lot of work to, like, do the thing and figure things out and your brain will run away from work a lot of times. But once you get past that point, once you know, okay, I need to go to this town because that town's where all this crafting stuff is, so I'm going to go there, I'm going to make a new sword. Once I make that new sword, I have these quests that I'm trying to work on, so I'm going to go there and do that. Oh, there's one of those new bosses that I unlocked at level 18 or whatever, I'm going to go and do that. Once you have that idea, once you have a roadmap in your brain for something that you're doing, in that moment, you know whether or not you like the game. That's where it comes from. That's what it comes down to, and that's how you know if you like a game. You don't know by looking at a game. You don't know by seeing the graphics. You don't know by seeing the mascots. You know by playing the game. That's how you do it. The system of the game, the things that are going on underneath of it, the way that things interact with each other are the game. The graphics and all of that is just the way that we see it. That's all it is. So that's the video, guys. I don't know. I hope that you guys actually play Throne and Liberty. It's been a pretty good game for me so far. I don't know what it's going to do like later on or anything, but I'm having a good time. I enjoy it. It's a big wave that's crashing right now, and it's fun to be on that wave, you know? I'm not getting hardly any views on any of the videos about it because there's much bigger people who are making videos about it currently, but I'm just having a blast playing the game, and I'm having a blast like hearing about the game and talking about it and bringing in people and just conversating. So play it, guys. Get on there. I'm on the server Immortality. If you guys want to play with me, come out and play. I'll see you guys there. Peace.